In this world, hierarchy is an unspoken truth. Nobody explicitly states it, but deep down, everyone understands. Some individuals are destined to command, while others are meant to take orders. And I, Roberta Faulkner, was destined for nothing less than the top. As a senior partner at Sterling & Co., one of New York's premier financial institutions, I thrive in an environment where competition is relentless and where a single misstep can end a career. My journey to this position spans 2 decades. Not through chance, not through connections. I carved my path using intellect, quick thinking, and, above all, never allowing obstacles to impede my progress. Not the executives in the boardroom. Not the subordinates below me. And certainly not someone like Evelyn. I'll acknowledge Evelyn's competence. But competence alone doesn't equate to deserving success. She represents those employees who naively believe that dedication is the only currency that matters. How amusing! The real world isn't built on fairness. It's constructed on dominance and authority. I've encountered countless individuals like Evelyn. They exhaust themselves, believing their efforts will eventually catch someone's eye. They wait for that magical moment when someone will appear and declare, "Congratulations, here's your reward for your dedication." But this is Sterling & Co., not some school playground. Here, success favors the shrewd, not the industrious. That morning, I was enjoying my black coffee, reviewing my emails as per my routine. I was skimming through client messages until one particular sentence caught my attention. "We'd like to extend our gratitude to Evelyn for her outstanding contributions. We hope she enjoys these 2 Super Bowl tickets as a well-deserved reward." I stared. Read it once more. Surely this was incorrect. I continued reading, my attention drawn to the crucial detail. 2 Super Bowl tickets, 40-yard line seats. A smile played across my lips as I reclined. Clearly a mistake. A technical glitch. It was inconceivable that Evelyn, a junior staff member, barely initiated into the financial sector, would be the intended recipient of these tickets. They rightfully belonged to me. Not because I craved entertainment. I had no time for such frivolous pursuits. The Super Bowl transcended mere sport. It was where the elite converged the wealthy, the influential, the powerful. VIP conversations extended beyond touchdowns to encompass million-dollar negotiations, strategic alliances, and priceless networking opportunities. I couldn't let this chance slip away due to some administrative error. I closed the email and rose from my chair, coffee still steaming. My course of action was crystal clear. I strode purposefully toward Evelyn's office, pushing the door open without ceremony. She glanced up, momentarily startled before regaining her professional demeanor. I caught a glimmer of defiance in her gaze, something that needed to be addressed. I positioned myself against her desk, displaying a confident smile. "Word has it you've received some exciting news." Evelyn's lips curved into a modest smile, her expression tinged with humility. "Yes, I'm incredibly thankful. It came as quite an unexpected honor." I cocked my head, displaying calculated sympathy. I can relate to that feeling. However, I paused, deliberately sipping my coffee while maintaining steady eye contact. Sometimes junior staff aren't fully aware of how our corporate dynamics function. Her expression tightened subtly. "What exactly are you implying?" I placed my coffee cup on her desk with precise deliberation. "Let me be clear, rewards of this caliber aren't merely personal achievements. They're strategic assets. Such allocations require executive-level consideration." Evelyn's posture stiffened. "But according to the email," I interjected smoothly, my voice pleasant yet authoritative. 20 years in this industry has taught me a thing or two about protocol, Evelyn. You don't suppose I'm unfamiliar with these matters?" I straightened up, fixing her with an unwavering stare. "Your capabilities are noteworthy, I'll grant you that. But certain opportunities, they're simply beyond your current station." Her fingers gripped her chair more tightly, but she remained silent. I could see the internal conflict playing out. Perfect. Agreement wasn't necessary. Compliance was sufficient. These tickets will serve a greater purpose in securing major corporate deals. Surely you can appreciate the necessity of this approach. I waited, watching her process the situation. Her silence spoke volumes. Satisfied with the outcome, I turned to leave, offering a final observation. Don't be discouraged, Evelyn. Your time will come eventually. I exited without a backward glance, considering the matter resolved. Victory was mine. Or so I believed. Have you ever witnessed a chess piece being manipulated without detecting it? That's precisely what I did to Evelyn. The audacity to think those Super Bowl tickets belonged to her? Preposterous. I departed her office with impeccable execution. No confrontation, no elevated voices. Simply a cordial discussion punctuated with strategic rhetoric. Threats weren't necessary. Force wasn't required. I merely illuminated reality's harsh truths. While Evelyn possesses intelligence, her inexperience makes her no match for my expertise. Returning to my office, I savored my coffee, relishing another productive encounter. My phone buzzed with a message from a key investment partner. We'll be at the Super Bowl. See you in the VIP section. I smiled slightly. This was precisely why those tickets were essential. The Super Bowl transcends mere sport. It's where financial titans converge. Premium champagne flows freely as multimillion-dollar agreements materialize in luxury boxes. I couldn't let this golden opportunity slip away because a junior associate felt she was entitled to it. From my vantage point, I gazed through the expansive windows at Manhattan's impressive skyline stretching below. My ascent to this position wasn't achieved through playing fair. I rose because I seized every advantage. That's something Evelyn has yet to grasp. But she'll learn. I recall my early days, just another ambitious young professional who believed dedication alone would unlock the executive suite. I'd arrive before dawn, depart well after dusk, investing everything into my career, until I realized that power's doorway remains closed to the idealistic. The men running this firm once attempted to suppress my advancement, but I refused to yield. I mastered their tactics and surpassed them. Today, I stand among the company's most influential leaders. And I won't permit a junior employee to challenge the established order. Because she's missing 3 vital elements necessary for survival in this realm. Connections, she stands alone, just another faceless employee in our corporate hierarchy. Experience, her belief in fairness reveals her naivety. Ruthlessness, Evelyn hasn't learned that victory often demands merciless determination. I've witnessed countless others like her. Each one eventually crumbled under corporate reality's weight. Checking my watch, I noted, 3 days until the Super Bowl. My strategy was meticulously crafted. Strategic discussions with our primary investor in the exclusive lounge. An intimate dinner alongside prominent financial executives. Calculated networking to reinforce my influence. Nothing would derail my plans. Every element had aligned flawlessly. Departing my office, I encountered Evelyn in the shared workspace. She remained silent, but I detected something unusual in her expression. Not rage. Not hurt. Something more calculated, strategic thinking. But it didn't concern me. With a smirk, I approached, ensuring my words carried to nearby colleagues. How's everything going, Evelyn? Managing all right? She raised her eyes, blinked once, responding, I'm fine. I appreciate your concern. Her composure seemed unnaturally steady. Something felt peculiar, but I dismissed the sensation. Offering an intentionally insincere shoulder pat, I strode away, maintaining my triumphant expression. Exiting the building, I felt Manhattan's brisk air against my skin. I remained indifferent to subordinates' whispers. I dismissed Evelyn's thoughts. I focused solely on my impending success. Do you know what's the most lethal element in any corporate warfare? It's not a more powerful adversary. It's not the direct confrontations. It's those who silently watch, patiently waiting to execute their perfect strike. And I had overlooked this fundamental truth. I had grown excessively confident. That afternoon, upon returning to my office, something felt distinctly off-kilter. Everything appeared unchanged visually. Yet the environment felt markedly different from the morning. The muted conversations in the corridor. The way gazes darted away more rapidly than before. Everyone seemed to actively avoid direct eye contact. This unsettling shift bothered me. I checked my inbox. A new message from a client stood out. Roberta, we need to discuss something. Call me when possible. No introduction, none of the usual warmth. The message's tone was concerning. I dialed immediately. 3 rings echoed before his voice emerged. Roberta. No friendly exchange. Just my name, delivered with icy precision. I maintained my composure, keeping my voice level. I received your email. Is there an issue? A momentary pause preceded his response. Tell me something. Why wasn't Evelyn present at the Super Bowl? The question caught me off guard, but I maintained my professional facade. I released a subtle laugh, maintaining casualness. About that, I assumed you understood. These decisions are made corporately, and I answer the question directly. His tone grew increasingly hostile. I paused momentarily. That brief hesitation revealed everything he already knew. Suppressing my mounting frustration, I maintained an even tone. There was a minor miscommunication, I explained. I needed to accommodate a significant client to strengthen our business relationship. Evelyn understood and consented. I believed this explanation sufficed. However, my client proved less susceptible to manipulation this time. I just finished speaking with Evelyn, he stated icily. She informed me she never agreed. In fact, she remained unaware until the tickets vanished. My grip tightened around the phone. Damn it all. Whatever Evelyn had orchestrated, she clearly hadn't remained as passive as I'd presumed. Before I could respond, the client interjected. I despise deception, Roberta. I remained silent. And I particularly resent when my preferred contact is deliberately sidelined without transparency. My fingers clenched the phone until they blanched. I had severely underestimated Evelyn's capabilities. Now I found myself playing defense. After the call concluded, I reclined in my chair, experiencing an unfamiliar sensation, genuine apprehension. I was accustomed to maintaining absolute control. And now, a junior associate had somehow managed to destabilize a situation I believed was under my complete control? Impossible. Simply impossible. I had to regain command of this narrative. Rising from my chair, I made my way to the office minibar, pouring a generous measure of whiskey. As the amber liquid burned its path downward, I forced my racing thoughts into submission. This situation remained salvageable. However, I needed to understand the full extent of Evelyn's actions. Emerging from my office, I surveyed the workspace silently. Everyone studiously avoided my gaze. Yet I could sense their whispered discussions about me. The rumors needed containment before they spiraled beyond control. I located Lisa, an administrative assistant notorious for her pulse on office gossip. What exactly did Evelyn do? I questioned directly. Lisa visibly tensed, clearly uncomfortable under my scrutiny. From what I heard, she contacted the client immediately after the ticket incident, she revealed. She kept it brief, just thanked them for the tickets and mentioned their reassignment to another party. I maintained my silence. Evelyn had avoided direct confrontation. She'd allowed the client to connect the dots independently. A masterful strategy, one I hadn't seen coming. Time was of the essence. I retrieved my phone and messaged a board member. Urgent meeting needed regarding staff issues. Evelyn is creating complications. To contain this situation, I needed to reshape the narrative. The board needed to perceive Evelyn as the troublemaker, not me. She might be clever, but I still held the strings. Or so I believed. What's a predator's response when threatened? Flight? Never. It strikes back, fierce, persistent, and increasingly merciless. And I, Roberta Faulkner, never surrender without a fight. Defeat and errors aren't in my vocabulary. Yet for the first time in my professional life, I felt trapped. The following morning's office entrance felt markedly different. The customary deferential nods and fearful silence had vanished. Instead, I felt exposed to scrutiny. The furtive looks, the muted conversations that ceased upon my approach. For once, the narrative had slipped from my grasp. 8:30 a.m. A board email appeared in my inbox. Roberta, attend an urgent meeting at 10 a.m. We must address certain client-related concerns. My brow furrowed. The word clarify unsettled me. I despised being summoned without foreknowledge of the agenda. I had attempted to manage the situation strategically. I had submitted a detailed report to the board highlighting Evelyn's disruptive behavior. I had tried to redirect attention, positioning her as the source of discord. But evidently, I was no longer the sole architect of this narrative. 10 a.m. I stepped into the conference room. The board members were already positioned around the table. The usual warm welcomes were conspicuously absent. An Arctic atmosphere permeated the space. The client was present. Not by himself. Accompanying him was a senior executive, the VP of Partnerships, an unwelcome addition to this gathering. I acknowledged them with a brief nod and settled into my chair. Is something amiss? I inquired, maintaining composure. The client shifted in his seat, arms crossed, his tone razor-sharp. Roberta, after careful consideration, I find it impossible to continue collaborating with someone who demonstrates such lack of transparency. The impact of his words felt like a physical blow. Could you elaborate? Simply put, he stated, I provided Super Bowl tickets to Evelyn as the project's lead manager. Those tickets never reached her. You appropriated them for personal use without any disclosure. This behavior is completely unacceptable. Beneath the table, my hands balled into fists. My breathing grew measured. The client pressed on. We cannot maintain a partnership built on dishonesty. Therefore, we're terminating our contract with Sterling and Company. We'll be pursuing alternatives with another agency. Deafening silence engulfed the room. The board remained momentarily motionless. But their eyes revealed everything. They were evaluating, determining if I remained worth their protection. I had to prevent that calculation. There seems to be a misinterpretation, I asserted firmly. My actions were never self-serving. Every decision was made with the company's interests at heart. Those tickets were utilized to cultivate a potentially valuable long-term client relationship, beneficial for everyone involved. The VP of Partnerships, the formidable woman beside the client, finally broke her silence. Our client perceives the situation differently, she declared, fixing me with an unwavering stare. Heat gradually crept up my neck. Board members began taking notes, exchanging meaningful glances. My grip on the situation was slipping. I intensified my grip under the table, fighting to maintain composure. I recognized my next move. Allowing them to diminish me now would permanently destroy any chance of recovery. I reclined in my chair, drawing a measured breath. I acknowledge your concerns, I stated. However, we must consider the broader context. This extends beyond mere tickets. It's about strategic vision, about the network of relationships I've cultivated to ensure this company's prosperity. Silence followed. I observed several board members contemplating my statement. They still required my expertise. I remained the firm's top performer, consistently securing the most significant deals. I pressed my advantage. Consider the void my departure would create. Who else possesses the capability to match my contributions? Several board members shifted uncomfortably, their eyebrows lifting. I had deliberately touched upon their deepest concern. I was irreplaceable. They wouldn't reach a verdict today. The meeting concluded without a definitive outcome. I hadn't been dismissed. Yet for the first time in my professional journey, I felt vulnerable. I exited the boardroom, striding purposefully to my office, securing the door behind me. I gazed at the blank wall, experiencing for the first time the crushing weight of impending peril. I had failed to recognize Evelyn's true potential. Now, I needed to navigate with unprecedented caution. Have you witnessed a structure's gradual demise? Not instantaneously. Not from nature's fury. But methodically, one brick after another, slow yet certain. And presently, I embody that structure. I, Roberta Faulkner, once an unstoppable force in this merciless financial realm, stand precariously at the precipice. And I'm powerless to prevent what's coming. That morning, my inbox displayed a message. Roberta, attend a performance review meeting with the board at 10 a.m. Performance review? I emitted a cynical chuckle. This was no ordinary evaluation. Such impromptu performance reviews always carried hidden agendas. Upon entering the boardroom, I found every member already present. I studied their expressions, seeking any indication of allegiance. None existed. Just deafening silence. The VP of Partnerships, my recent confrontational adversary, sat perfectly poised, hands clasped on the table. She flashed a brief smile, a gesture devoid of warmth. "Roberta," the chairman began, his tone lacking its former reverence. "Our investigation into the client contract situation reveals serious breaches of ethical conduct and leadership responsibility." The emphasis on serious unsettled me. My hands tightened beneath the table, but my voice remained steady. As previously stated, my actions served the company's interests. The VP of Partnerships arched her brow. "You misappropriated your employee's personal gift for self-serving purposes. How does that benefit the company?" Her words cut like steel. I paused before responding. Because reality had crystallized. Their minds were already made up. This wasn't a forum for explanations. This was my execution. The chairman proceeded. "Roberta, there's another issue requiring attention." I met his gaze. "You misused company funds for your Super Bowl attendance, covering accommodation and entertainment costs." I maintained my composure. "It was a legitimate business expense," I stated calmly. "The meeting involved potential investors." The VP of Partnerships deliberately opened a folder before her. "Your travel companion wasn't an investor. It was your sibling." Stillness. A suffocating stillness. I felt paralyzed. Had their investigation penetrated so deeply? Rage coursed through my veins, but I maintained my facade. I'd always excelled at masking my emotions. My eyes swept across the room, seeking support. Anyone who might defend me? None. Even my former allies, those who had once admired me, trembled at my presence, now averted their gazes. I stood alone. I had been deserted. And I was powerless. The chairman cleared his throat. "Roberta, given this evidence, we're terminating your employment with immediate effect." The atmosphere grew stifling. For the first instance in my career, I was directionless. I'd always maintained contingency plans, always had an exit strategy. But now there was no way out. No redemption. No lifeline extended. I faced absolute solitude. I refused to apologize. I wouldn't plead. I denied them the pleasure of witnessing my collapse. Rising, I adjusted my jacket and exited the boardroom. Their gazes followed me. Some relieved. Others merely inquisitive. It didn't matter. I remained Roberta Faulkner. I would never display weakness. As the elevator door sealed behind me, I observed my reflection. No longer untouchable. No longer the executive who commanded fear. Simply another casualty of corporate politics. Yet I refused to accept finality. I would resurface. I wouldn't vanish quietly. Because defeat isn't in my nature. I simply haven't achieved victory yet. They believe I'm finished. They expect me to fade into obscurity like previous board casualties. But they misunderstand my essence. I, Roberta Faulkner, wasn't destined for failure. I just haven't succeeded yet. 3 weeks post-departure from Sterling & Co., branded a failure. Nearly 20 years invested in building my corporate dominion. I orchestrated, dominated, and eliminated obstacles. I commanded fear, demanded respect, and now? I face solitude. No correspondence. No appointments. No contact from former allies. They educate about success. They instruct about reputation building. But nobody prepares you for downfall. And trust me, it is desolate. When you possess influence, companions and supporters materialize effortlessly, each eager to maintain connections. But when everything crumbles, you discover who genuinely remains loyal. The harsh truth? Not a soul. I won't deny my actions. I orchestrated Evelyn's manipulation. I betrayed the client's trust. I wielded my authority for self-preservation. Yet let's be candid, the entire corporate ecosystem functions identically. I merely took necessary steps to preserve my position at the summit. They wished to cast me as the antagonist of this narrative? So be it. I'll embrace that role. But they shouldn't pretend their hands are any cleaner. 3 days passed, my inbox received a message from a familiar name. Evelyn. Subject: this might interest you. The message contained an article. Sterling & Co. under scrutiny for ethics protocol breaches. I couldn't suppress a knowing smile. The pristine institution they'd defended so zealously wasn't immaculate after all. Evidently, I wasn't the sole liability. Clearly, this tale continues to unfold. I composed a brief reply. Does this bring you satisfaction? Within moments, her response appeared. Satisfaction isn't the goal. Justice was. I chuckled darkly. Justice? She remains convinced that principles govern this world? Such innocence. This realm shows no mercy. One might follow every rule, embrace integrity, champion goodness. Yet victory remains uncertain. Conversely, employ deceit, manipulation, fight ruthlessly. Eventually, someone mirrors your tactics against you. No individual remains invincible. At the pinnacle, remember, you're merely one player in an expansive game. A game without conclusion. Was Roberta's fate deserved? Which holds more weight, justice or influence? Would you have followed Evelyn's path? Like, if you believe Roberta's story isn't finished. Comment with your thoughts. Can Roberta orchestrate a return? Subscribe for future developments, because surely this isn't the conclusion?